Change is inevitable, except from a vending machine. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is John, and today we're talking about change. No, dear editor, not that type of change. No, editor, that's not the type of change we're talking about either. We're talking about changing people's hearts. Yes, just like that. Well, wait, no, not open heart surgery. We're not replacing people's hearts with a pacemaker. I think you've gone a little too far. You know what I'm talking about, right? Real CHANGE. Sorry, I'm gonna keep it on the down low going forward because I don't want my video editor doing something weird every single time I use the C word. You know, in fact, to keep my editor busy, not to keep you busy, so that you can show off your skills and show us just how good you are, we're going to have a little challenge. I'm going to avoid using the C word entirely. Every single time I use a synonym for that word, you can put it up here in the corner. Oh, you're afraid it's not going to be fair. To make this challenge a little tougher on me and a little bit more fair for you, I can only use each word one time. Well, let's get into it. Here are 5 things you need to know before you're ready to modify the behaviors in your life. But before we begin making a difference in your behaviors, we have to know where behaviors come from. If you spend much time on my channel, you know I'm a big fan of the theory that all of our behaviors come from a belief. So this video is meant to help you understand your beliefs and begin to switch out beliefs that limit your life and your potential. Now with that out of the way, number 1, identify the emotion. Before we can adjust our beliefs and our behaviors, we have to recognize that there's even something worth developing in the first place. The biggest sign that we want something to be altered in our lives comes from our own emotions. A common emotion that leads to shifts in life is anger. Just recognizing that I'm feeling angry is a great place to start. Number 2, own the emotion. Next, it can be helpful to understand why we're feeling a certain way. So, in our example, why am I feeling angry? Now, one of the most common pitfalls to avoid when you're trying to identify why you're feeling a certain way is blaming another person for those emotions. So let's start with taking ownership for the emotions that we are feeling. We alone are responsible for our feelings. If we say, "They made me angry," then you're blaming the other person and making yourself a victim. A big part of owning the emotion means not judging yourself for having the emotion. Our bodies feel all types of different emotions for many different reasons, and that's why the next step is we need to figure out why you're feeling it. So number 3, what's the history behind this emotion? Once you've owned the emotion, it's time to understand why you're feeling it. If it's hysterical, it's historical. This means if you're feeling an over-the-top emotion, for example, extreme anger that leads to yelling at a barista for getting your order wrong, then this means that there's some sort of history behind this experience. Maybe this barista has gotten your order wrong a lot of times. Maybe this isn't the first time they've done this. Or maybe this actually reminds you of an experience of when you were younger and you felt like people were not listening to you. To better understand the history, I recommend trying to answer these questions. When was the first time you felt this way? Often the first time we feel a certain way is one of the strongest. And what message did that experience teach you? What's the belief behind the experiences and the history? We learn lessons from almost every single experience. If you can nail down what you learned from an experience, it can be very beneficial towards innovating your beliefs and then your behaviors. Is the belief true? Sometimes just answering this question alone is all you need to successfully change. Hold on just 1 second. amend. Sometimes answering this question is all we need to amend our behaviors and our beliefs. Once we realize that some of the beliefs that we've believed since we were a kid are not true, it's easier to make the amendments in our lives that we are looking for. Imagine if you believed that sharks lived in every body of water. Water would be pretty scary then, right? Well, this is actually something I used to believe as a kid. After seeing news reports about shark attacks, I was terrified of going into the water for at least a month. Once my parents explained to me that sharks live in the ocean and that we were nowhere near the ocean, I finally felt safe to go swimming in one of the local lakes because my beliefs about where sharks live had recalibrated. But what if your belief is true? Well, then we need to ask just a few more questions. Number 4, tuning true beliefs. Is there a different perspective you have not considered? Sometimes we may be right about our beliefs, but often it's the way that we look at the belief that hurts us more than the actual belief itself. For example, if I believe that the job I want is really competitive and very hard to get into, that might make it feel intimidating. But if I combine the belief that the job is competitive with the perspective or belief that I can overcome this challenge or that I have plenty of support to accomplish my goal, well, then suddenly the belief that the job is competitive doesn't have the same effect on me that it used to. Or let's go back to our barista example. Maybe she did not get the order right, but maybe they're new on the job and a little overwhelmed. Or maybe my order really is complicated and it's more likely to go wrong than other orders. Suddenly I feel not as upset at the barista. The next question is, what do you want to believe? It's important to recognize that as humans, we want to believe certain things, even if we don't have evidence for it. But this is okay if we are honest about the things that we want to believe. It gives us a chance, 1, to really understand ourselves, and 2, to actually grow and try to look for that evidence. Sometimes once we recognize what kind of beliefs we want to have, we can actually use confirmation bias to work in our behavior. So confirmation bias is a human phenomenon where we look for evidence in things that we already believe. Okay, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but we'll get into that in another video someday. In fact, if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and click the subscribe button so that you can check out that video when I release it. Maybe I want to believe that the barista is trying her best, even if I don't necessarily have evidence for this. By choosing to believe this, despite the evidence, you may begin to find evidence that makes it even easier to believe what you want to believe. Now, quick disclaimer, it's important to think through what beliefs you want to choose when you take this method. This method can be really powerful, so you don't want to self-sabotage yourself. Number 5, experiencing the growth. Now, I just have one more question that you need to answer in order to Pagbago? It's Cebuano. Can you tell I'm getting desperate? What experiences can you have that reinforce that this new belief, the belief that you want to have, is true? This is a huge part of actually revising your life. You have to begin to experience life in a different way. If everything we do is only mental and it's all in our heads, then it's not going to matter as much as it would if we put it into physical practice. Let's say you reform the belief that was leading you to getting angry at the barista. Think through, if that same barista messes up your order tomorrow, how are you going to feel? What are you going to do? Visualize doing things differently. And then, when you get a chance to practice, try acting the new way and see how you feel. And just a quick note before we end here, maybe you run through the visualization exercise and you recognize you're still going to be angry at that person, at the barista or whoever. You're still going to feel the same emotion. That's okay. Often there's a lot more than just one belief that creates this system of feeling a certain way, that creates these emotions. So don't be afraid if you have to run through this a few times with different beliefs before you actually see the change you're looking for. Keep going, you're doing a great job. And that's it. That is my quick guide for helping you redirect your life in a direction that you want it to go. Actually, if you're looking to put this into your own life, down below I have a really simple PDF with each of the questions that I suggested down below. Download it, fill it out, and see how it helps you. Thanks for watching my video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Comment down below how this video helped you, and check out my other videos if you're looking for other great ways to help yourself change into the person you're looking to be. Oh, no, wait!